The Mark 1 version of the 7Artisans 60mm macro lens for Fujifilm was a bit of a mixed bag. Good image quality at a nice price, but with a very poorly implemented bit of innovation with that lens protruding, apparently for shooting underwater. Anyway, that's in the past. We've got the 60mm f2.8 Mark II. We're going to be testing it out on a Fujifilm X-T4 in this case. There's going to be a lot of tripod-based stuff, a lot of unedited, very random, very close up sort of sample images, and then we'll have a chat about it afterwards, and then it's over to you guys and girls in the comments below. So let's crack on. Instruction manual for what it's worth. We don't need that, but if you need to, you can pause to check it out. Don't forget to set the camera to shoot without lens. The lens itself feels really nice. According to the spec, it's 339 grams. Doesn't feel heavy at all then. All metal. Not a fan of this cap at all. So we've got a 49mm filter thread in there. No marking to suggest it's the second version of this, but we know it is. On the flip side, nice metal mount. I do think the dart mounts are actually pretty cool, but as you never see those, it's not a big deal. But yeah, that looks fine so far. Little pin there if you need to adjust it. I've never had to mess about with that myself personally, and yeah, it looks and feels pretty nice. Now the aperture ring, you've got a 2.8 to 22. It's declicked, as we're finding on all of these lenses these days. Very annoying, but I think less annoying as this is a macro lens. The manual focus ring feels nice, smooth from 0.175 1:1 right to infinity, which stops just after infinity there. We'll see in practice how that goes, but I think that's going to be decent. It feels like a nice, I mean, it could be a little bit heavier, but yeah, doesn't feel like it's going to drop out at any point. Nice scales. Again, we need to see how we feel about them after a bit of good use. Now let's pop that annoying cap back on. You've got 11 elements in 8 groups, 9 blade diaphragm, so there should be some improved image quality, but I know a lot of people got a lot of decent images out of the Mark 1 version. So yeah, let's see how we get on with this little number. Nice and solid feeling, and to all intents and purposes seems like it could be a winner. What's new over the Mark 1 then? Closer minimum focus distance, better aperture range, new glass, internal focusing, and it's smaller. So for me, this is an easy lens to use, even with that heavy-ish aperture ring. The markings are pretty clear and seem to be quite accurate. Now, to be fair, this lens is obviously designed for macro shooting. Anything further away, it's just not a flexible, you know, kind of lens. As I've found trying to film myself for the intro clip, it's built for a purpose, and I'm cool with that. Getting a 1:1 shot on this 60mm, 90mm full frame equivalent focal length isn't a big problem. It's not the ultimate in macro shooting, but it's certainly very usable. Now, the fact that the focusing is all internal is a very welcome upgrade to me. Manual focusing is a decent experience, and the throw of the focus ring is pretty good. Now, that aperture ring, yeah, it's a disappointment. For example, it's not so practical when you're selecting an f-stop and you can't see the scale. as in many of the setups that I was using for the last month or so. Clicks would definitely be a much more practical solution for me. I still don't see the need to keep it declicked for the Fujifilm video shooter, especially on a macro lens, but I'm very open to seeing evidence to convince me it should be this way. Let us know in the comments below if you've got anything I need to look at. When it comes to image quality, you don't need to immediately swap your Mark 1 for this, but it's another tick in the pros and cons, and considering the price, it might be an easy upgrade. The colours render well, and overall the optical quality is quite good. You get a sharp enough image in the centre. Stopping down to around f8, maybe f11 gets your best overall image quality. It's not really the kind of lens that you want to leave stuck wide open all the time, especially super close-up shooting as we did for these shots, but the aperture range is very welcome and for the most part quite usable. If you want a bit of bokeh, it's smooth and even, and there are no issues with distortion. It's cool to see that 7Artisans have improved the overall package, and we'll be looking at the new 55mm very soon, and so far I can say it seems to be a similar story. This is a well-built all-metal lens that performs quite well and is a worthy buy at this end of the market. That lens cap and that aperture ring let the lens down a little bit, but at around £132 you'd be hard pushed to find this image quality and overall value for macro shooting. Of course, there are other ultimately better macro lenses for more money, but that's not the point. When a lens like this does a good job and might be the one to look at for somebody who fancies giving macro a go and doesn't want to use extension tubes or go the other end and spend more than 200, 300, 400 pounds on a new, granted better lens, or even go the second hand route. So yeah, have you tried this lens? Let us know in the comments below and I'll see you there.